Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kagekaze once again reporting in, and this time I'm going to present you with the Nightmare Report. I've come back to Act 1, as you can see. Only things are a little different.
A nest must be nearby.
So as I come into here, you might see that these monsters are not dying immediately. That's right, this is Nightmare Act 1, and what I'm going to do here is kind of go over just a little bit about Nightmare and actually a little bit about what to expect mid-game for normal mode and some builds that might help you out. The game is not terribly difficult around normal mode. At least I can't say it was terribly difficult. I did die a few times in Act 3, but I kind of came up with some decent builds and I played around with my build a lot. And if I probably would have stuck to like one build that I knew worked, I might have had an easier time. But every time I got a new, just kind of a new skill, I had to try it out. So what I'm going to do is kind of give you the idea of a build that seemed to work around mid-Act 3. This is about basically a build that you should see around level 20, which is not too far in. If you're going through and exploring a lot, this is a good one. You can use some of these skills that I'm using prior to that. The big one that you won't have is going to be Earthquake. Earthquake is going to be your big damage dealer for when you run into elite packs. Any kind of champion, any kind of rare. So, starting things off, the first ability I use that you should get relatively early is Wrenching Stomp, and this is for Ground Stomp. The reason I like it is because it has an area of effect at 24 yards, it pulls everything into me, and then it stuns them. If you don't have that, you can still use Ground Stomp. It's a great ability for when you start to get surrounded, as you can basically stun absolutely everything around you, and either make a hasty retreat, or just tear everything a new orifice, if you will. So that's what I like about that one. I've been using Cleave. The reason I use Cleave, I'll kind of show you here real quick, is I like this Reaping Swing. This one will come just before you get Earthquake, so if you don't have it, that's fine. I like Cleave because I find a lot of monsters come in packs. I tend to dual wield, but every now and then I'll use two-handed weaponry. It really depends on what I find. If I find a good two-handed weapon that matches my DPS or is better, I'll use it. In normal mode, I don't expect you to find a lot of really great items. And the reason is because a lot of the procs on them are very low and are not going to be that great to you. Honestly, since we're talking about items and this has been asked, is, you know, what was I looking towards gearing? I honestly was looking at strength almost the entire way through normal. And as things went on, I realized that it was getting harder and harder. I was taking hits harder. So I started putting vitality into some items and looking for more vitality. I tried to balance it out because you have to remember 1 point of strength equals 1 point of armor. So for example, if I've got some pants here, like I've got this 78 pants here, it's got 31 strength. So this has actually got over this is basically 109 armor on these pants because of the strength. And that affects everybody, no matter what class you are. So if you're not a barbarian, remember that armor, or that strength equals armor. So that's a good thing. So if you're concerned about the armor level being too low, see if it has some strength. But armor alone is not going to help you too much. Like for example here you can see I've got a lot of armor and it's about 49% damage off, but I still take massive hits. And part of that is, you know, I've got a 2400 health pool here. You can see I only have 224 vital compared to, you know, my 568 strength. So what I've started doing later on was trying to balance out my strength and my vitality. And that seemed to work. I died a few times in Act 3, but Act 4, honestly, I pretty much went right through. I carved up through almost everything. When I got low, I had enough tools to escape. I you know, had enough abilities to heal myself up, and you know, I used my potions properly. You know, I tried not to use them too early, make sure that if I got hit again by a big hit, you know, it's one of those things where you have to balance out. You don't want to accidentally get killed because you just took a sudden spike of damage that took most of your health pool. But at the same time, if you use potions too early, then you won't have it when you need it because it's got that 30-second cooldown. So Cleave I've been using, going back to that, I've been using because I've been surrounded by monsters a lot. The reason why I like this particular rune is because this rune generates 3 additional fury per enemy hit. When I get a group in, when I pull them in with my Withering Stomp, I am getting so much fury that I basically have to burn through it, and that's where the other skills come into play. I use Seismic Slam. Around this time that you've got these abilities, you should have Stagger, which is a 70% chance of stunning enemies. So not only do you knock them back, you stun them. That gives you a breathing room right there. Gives you a chance to escape, gives you a chance to recover. Some early parts of Act 3, you're going to get swarmed like crazy, and that is a really nice ability to be able to stun them. Later on, as I try not to fail here real quick, later on, I actually switched to Shattered Ground for a couple reasons. One, it's increased damage, and the other is it's increased knockback. I'm going to go ahead and use that now, since you get the idea of Seismic Slam doing a stun. Now that stun, honestly, I may end up going back to it, but the reason why I like this is the 100% knockback increase. I can basically get away from an enemy and get back, and you can see I knock him back pretty far, and I don't have to worry about him. You also have to consider that stuns are going to start getting reduced in higher difficulty levels. Knockbacks appear to be fairly consistent, so I can keep myself at a fair distance without having to worry about the difficulty level I'm in. So, another skill you may find useful around this time, I used it for a while and ended up switching it out as I started playing with builds, but this is Revenge. The reason why Revenge is great, especially with Withering Stomp, is you gain health, 5% of your health for every monster you hit. And if you get the Vengeance is Mine, which you should get just before Earthquake as well, it gives you 8% health for every enemy hit. So that's great. What's a really good idea for that one is to wait for your Revenge to proc, pull everything in with your Withering Stomp so that you've got more targets. So let me try and let me see if I can get like a good proc of it going here, and I can kind of, there it is. So I'll Withering Stomp and then Revenge everything, and there my health would have gone up. Really great combination. The other thing that I haven't been using much right now because I haven't needed it is Threatening Shout. The reason this is great is because it reduces the damage of your enemies by 20%. So Barbarians, when you're looking for survivability, these are some great features here. Being able to stun, being able to heal, and reduce their damage. You look in the beta and you think you really didn't need any of these. Well, it's true. You really didn't. This first few acts, I mean, here I am in Nightmare, and I'm not really even needing much. But I'm going to just go ahead and use them to kind of show it off. The rune I'm using for Threatening Shout is Falter. It also reduces their attack speed, so it's even better. You won't get that one right away, but it's a really nice one to have. So here I'll show off Earthquake real quick. This is what I use against bosses and elite packs. That is a massive amount of damage. It is, I like to say it's overpowered because it kills things quick. I have pulled in a group of 3 to 4 elites with my Withering and put them into Earthquake, and they've just died. The rune you saw is Chilling Earth. That makes them slow by 80%, so they can't even get out of it. When you first get Earthquake, obviously you won't have a rune, but the damage it does alone is enough. 2,000% weapon damage as fire over 8. So if you can get them in there for 8 seconds, 2,000% weapon damage. You have basically just done a ton of damage to those monsters. As you can see here, there my fury goes up, and then I can just kind of
Not enough fury.
use my seismic a bit to knock things about, heal up a tiny bit. Alright, something else that I've also changed in my philosophy as I've leveled is the gems I'm using for my weapons. I used to put pure rubies in this because rubies increase your damage by plus, range to range. So what I'm testing out, though, is lowering my DPS. I'm still doing 392, which is respectable, but what I've done is I've put amethysts in them. I've got a perfect one here, which gives me 15 life per hit, and a flawless here, which gives me 10 life to hit. I'm going to be playing around with that and see how it feels. I haven't used it yet. This is the first I'm using it. As you can see here, it's not a really good sign. It's not much for me to be able to tell. I'm not taking a lot of damage. I'm killing things relatively quickly. But these are really good skills to choose for survivability, and you can mix and match them, and I've been mixing and matching them quite a bit. Eventually you'll get Call of the Ancients here under your Rage, which is also a very good skill. This is actually kind of useful because it doesn't require you to get in close. You can call in the Ancients when you see a pack coming, and they'll start attacking for you, and they'll start taking hits for you, which is really nice. Now, Wrath of the Berserker is a pretty nice one as well. That's going to come at level 30. But the problem with Wrath of the Berserker, of course, is the self-buff. It's great for damage, but it does keep you in harm's way. So there's kind of an issue there, but it's still a great buff. I actually tried combining them at one point. Tried combining Wrath of the Berserker with Earthquake and whatnot. That's kind of nice. It would have been better if Wrath of the Berserker gave you more damage instead of attack speed, but it still can be good. Honestly, with weapons that are doing lifesteal right now, Wrath of the Berserker might even be a good choice. So you have to consider those. You never know. Alright, so that's been kind of a look into my thought process as far as how I plan to play Nightmare and how I played into Act 3. So look at him die. Let's see if I can kill this little treasure goblin. Look at that. Little treasure goblins have 5,000 health. Alright, there it is. And there's a page of blacksmithing. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. 3, as a matter of fact. Woohoo! Alright, might be able to make more crafting videos sooner than I thought. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that has basically been a look at where my gear levels have been, what I've been considering for survivability in both normal and Nightmare. Honestly, again, this is not the one true build. It's a fairly good build. Force even put a build out that was fairly similar. I was playing with this and I checked his video out and I'm like, oh yeah, I chose a few of those. So if you kind of want an alternative, check out Force Strategy Gaming. He's got a nice video there for how he played out through Act 3 and through Act Normal. So give that a shot. Alright, this has been Kagekaze, asking you to please thumb up the content if you like it. Leave comments in the comments below or at theshadowpost@gmail.com. And I'll see you guys next time.